How's it going, guys? It's Augie from Western Drop 1000. Today is July 30th, 2020, and obviously the main focus of this video will be Tropical Storm Isaias, which is currently just north of the Dominican Republic at this point, with its eye circulating just north of the Puerto Plata region of Dominican Republic, as this storm formed a new eye during the day today, as originally the eye made landfall somewhere to the west of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. However, as the original eye went over the high terrain of the Dominican Republic, it eventually started to lose a lot of its convection and a lot of its latent heat within the low pressure system and a lot of its energy in general. And however, just off the coast of the Dominican Republic, we started seeing a blow up of convection to the point where the convection just off the coast of the Dominican Republic was getting stronger than the original low pressure system. So eventually the latent heat from this low pressure system and the energy moved offshore and pretty much created a new center of circulation in the lower levels of the atmosphere, as we now have a new low pressure system just off north of Dominican Republic, which is spiraling around this region right here. And in terms of the statistics of this storm, there's currently a 60-mile-per-hour storm. So unfortunately, the idea that this storm would have weakened over Dominican Republic and Haiti due to the high terrain hasn't really occurred, since a lot of the convection just pretty much maintained this storm's intensity at around 60 miles per hour. And as a result, it created a new low pressure off the coast. So in reality, this storm pretty much maintained its strength of 60 miles per hour. So unfortunately, the high terrain and the elevated areas of Hispaniola didn't really do anything to weaken this storm at all. And its central millibar pressure is down at 999 millibars. However, according to some readings in weather stations just on the northern coast of Dominican Republic, they've experienced pressures even lower than that, which could mean that this storm is actually stronger than the 999 millibar storm that the latest 8 o'clock update recently stated. As we've seen weather stations report millibar pressures lower than that, which could mean that this storm is definitely strengthening, and it has a possibility to strengthen into the hurricane within as early as tonight or maybe even tomorrow. However, there's still a lot of uncertainty with this we have to check out. But in terms of the overall composition of this storm, you see that for the most part it looks fairly healthy. It doesn't really look like a dying storm. However, it doesn't look like the most perfect storm either, because as you could see towards the more western side of this storm, we see that there isn't as much convection and there isn't that much symmetry when it comes to the thunderstorm activity with this storm. As in this storm, we're mainly seeing a lot of thunderstorm activity occur just to the east of the center of circulation, and we're seeing a lot of that thunderstorm activity drift off to the north and east of the center of circulation, while in the southern part, we're seeing pockets of drier air filter in and less convection in this area. And it's as a result of this upper level low that's currently located to the west of it that's pretty much not only bringing a lot of wind shear from the southwest, upper level winds that are coming from the southwest, but along with it, it's bringing a lot of stable and dry air towards the southern portion of this storm, which will keep the strength of this storm at a limit to be if we're in the future, as the dry air and the wind shear will keep the storm at a minimum, strengthening at a minimum, which is definitely good news. And we won't see this storm explode as it moves over the Bahamas over the next several days. And you might be asking, what are the chances this becomes a hurricane? I still think it's likely that we will see a hurricane as it goes over the extremely warm Gulf Stream water, especially as it continues its trek onto the northwest. However, I don't expect this to strengthen very fast as a result of this strong wind shear, because we have a ridge of high pressure that's currently located over Bermuda at this point that's trying to steer a lower level high pressure system that's currently trying to steer the storm towards the west. However, we have this upper level low that's pretty much trying to steer the this storm towards the north and east. And since the winds from the lower levels and the upper levels are not coinciding with each other, that means that there's very strong wind shear with the storm, because the definition of wind shear is change in wind direction or strength within height. And this storm is going to definitely experience that as it moves off to the northwest, with the lower level winds trying to bring the storm to the northwest, while the upper level winds are bringing southwesterly winds in this direction. However, what could make this strengthen a little bit more than expected is if this storm continues to grow stronger than we expect. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg, because for this to strengthen, we do need that upper level low to pretty much stay weaker and stay further from the storm. However, if this is a stronger storm, then it's more likely that this upper level low becomes weaker and moves more towards the west and affects it less. So however, the bad news is that this came off the coast stronger than most models expected. So there very well could be the possibility that this upper level low sort of weakens as a result of the stronger than expected outflow that's channeling off aloft from this storm. So it's definitely more likely this is going to strengthen into a hurricane as a result within the next 24 to 48 hours, I would assume. In terms of the full forecast of this when it comes to strength and its forecast track, you see that the National Hurricane Center is mainly expecting steady strengthening with this storm, not really blowing up at any point. However, I kind of do expect this to get stronger than what the National Hurricane Center suggests, because, like I said, since the storm's stronger, we're more likely to see that storm pretty much push off that upper level low that would weaken it, and we could see a hurricane by Friday night, I would assume, or even earlier than that, since the storm is definitely strengthening as a result of these weather stations off the coast are pretty much proving that this storm is definitely strengthening. So here's a forecast track. So as you can see, for the Bahamas, I wouldn't be surprised if you experience hurricane conditions with this. And I'm surprised that there hasn't been at least hurricane watches or warnings issued, because it's becoming very likely we will see a hurricane move along the Bahama Islands as over the next several days. And tropical storm watches have been issued through South Florida, as it's becoming more and more likely they're going to experience tropical storm force conditions from this storm, whether this moves more towards the eastern portion or the western portion. This storm has quite a bigger than usual wind field at this point, and it's expected to only grow stronger as this storm grows stronger. So as a result, the National Hurricane Center issued tropical storm watches throughout South Florida. And then you could see beyond Saturday and Sunday, it becomes very uncertain of where this goes, and it's pretty much taking it all along the East Coast, and it sort of looks like the track that Dorian took. Obviously, if you discount this whole area where it's pretty much moving from the southwest, it pretty much looks like Dorian, where Dorian pretty much stayed parallel from the Florida coast and then sort of took this track, which pretty much mainly stayed off the most of the East Coast besides North Carolina, where it made landfall. And it looks like a very similar track. However, this track is very uncertain, and there's still a lot of uncertainty when it comes to this track. However, I can safely say that for the East Coast, I would at least start watching this, because it's becoming more and more likely you will experience impact from this. we're not sure what type of impacts. It's unsure whether or not you're going to experience tropical storm force, hurricane force, or little to no impacts at all. However, I would safely assume that you will experience some type of impacts along the East Coast. However, you see the cone of uncertainty is just large. You see that the cone extending more than 200 miles as we head into Tuesday night, as there's a wide array of possibilities of where the storm could go. And when we forecast something 3 to 5 days out, I know this sounds so cliche when it comes to weather, but it's true. I'm gonna keep emphasizing this. The forecast could change very drastically over the next several days. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens as we get closer. However, as we get closer, we will get more confidence of where exactly the storm will go. And you might be wondering what exactly will determine where the storm goes along the East Coast. So if we move forward in time, you see that there's a lot of wind shear currently hindering this storm as a result of this upper level low pressure system, and it's expected to continue and keep this storm from strengthening very rapidly over the next several days. And then the GFS is taking it fairly close to the Florida coast, which is taking a very similar track to Matthew in 2016 and Dorian last year. However, you still will experience tropical storm force impacts likely along the Florida coast heading into this weekend. However, I think what will determine this track is how far this jet stream dips, because if this jet stream dips more than usual, then it's more likely we're going to see the jet stream sort of take the jet stream winds sort of take more of a directly south to north track rather than southwest to northeastward track, where that scenario would otherwise steer the storm out to sea. However, if this jet stream is weaker, we're more likely to see southwesterly jet stream winds, which would make it more likely you would see not only a weaker storm because the winds from the lower level high pressure system and the jet stream winds won't really coincide with each other, but also we're more likely to see the storm stay mainly off the East Coast, which is typical for most tropical cyclones as they head towards the northeast coast, and impacts would be limited then. However, there's still a bunch of uncertainty. The forecast models definitely need to nail down the specifics as we get closer, and we'll need to nail down what happens over the next several days to process and continue to process the information over the next several days to pretty much create a more accurate forecast of where this storm could go. However, if it takes the more dip, if the jet stream takes a bigger dip, then it's more likely we're going to see a major threat throughout the East Coast, where we could see a Category 1 hurricane pretty much impact the entire U.S. East Coast, extending from Florida all the way up to Maine and even eastern Canada as well. So this is definitely something to at least be watching along the East Coast, as it's hard to say where exactly this will go. I wish I could tell you, but unfortunately, forecast models and computer models aren't at that level yet to forecast something with certainty 5 days out. So we definitely need to keep watching what happens over the next several days. However, what I could say with confidence is that throughout the Bahamas, I would prepare for hurricane conditions, since it's becoming more and more likely we're going to see a hurricane form tomorrow or Saturday as this storm continues to move up northwesterly and this storm continues to grow stronger. And what worries me is that if this storm continues to grow stronger, it's less likely that it'll weaken, since it's more likely that the outflow from a stronger Isaias would pretty much weaken the upper level low that's currently bringing dry air and strong wind shear to this region. So let's hope that it doesn't get as strong. However, it seems like a hurricane is likely throughout the Bahamas, and and at least tropical storm force conditions are becoming more likely along the Florida coast. So I would prepare for at least tropical storm force conditions, especially along the southeastern coast of Florida. And for the rest of the East Coast, I would at least stay tuned to your local forecasts and continue to monitor this, because we could potentially see a major hurricane threat throughout the East Coast if everything goes right for Isaias. So that's about it for now. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you like this content, and I hope you guys have a good day, good night, or good afternoon whenever you guys are watching this. And to make sure to monitor this and stay safe, if you're within the projected path, and if you're under warnings throughout the Bahamas or Florida. So thank you for watching.